our team list, ladies and gentlemen. This is the first 14 women to play Commonwealth Games Rugby Sevens. Canada, led by their captain, Ghislaine Landry. And for South Africa, Zitul Pupa.
Well, a historic moment here in the Rugby Stadium on the outskirts of the Gold Coast in Queensland, as women's Rugby Sevens prepares to enter the Commonwealth Games. The first game is between Canada and South Africa. The referee for this one, Holly Davidson. And the crowd has been slowly filling up inside this very, very, very fine stadium, the Rugby Stadium. And beautiful playing conditions. And two pools in the women's sevens. And it will be the first two in the two pools of four that go through to contest the semi-finals. Slightly different setup to the men's competition. Fewer teams in the women's competition. It's rather ruthless, the men's, just one going through from pools of four. But it is Ghislaine Landry, the Canadian captain, who has ball in hand. I've got Rob Vickerman alongside me, former Sevens player, Sevens expert, and there's a buzz of anticipation about this, I'd say, historic moment.
Very much so, and this Canadian team in particular, one of the teams who got the bronze out in Rio. They're setting standards on the World Sevens Series, and it's going to be great to see how they go in this Commonwealth competition.
So if you're fairly new to sevens, it is fast and furious, and scores do come thick and fast as well. Another loose pass from Canada, taken in by Hannah Darling. It's all about possession of that ball and space out wide, and a lovely weighted pass by Landry. Space appears out wide at Crossley, and Crossley is in for the first try in Commonwealth Games Women's Rugby Sevens, and a very, very bright start by Canada, who probably would start as the slight favourites here.
And anytime you see Ghislaine Landry, number 9, with the ball in hand, she's going to do some magic there, just shifting the ball out. Great to see Crossley scoring a historical try, 19 years old. She's fresh on the series, but look at the size and power of her, respectively. It's going to be wonderful to see how she can play outside the likes of the experienced Landry and this Canadian team. A little bit of rebuilding this year specifically, but they are a team who always impress, and certainly on a big stage.
Conversions are drop goals in sevens as well, so perhaps don't land quite as frequently as place kicks, but it's 5 points for Canada. And that opening try for Caroline Crossley. 7 minutes per half.
And now Landry once again kicking. Sevens rugby, you score, you get to try and regain possession by tactical kicks. Drop goals, in this case, she's gone deep into the 22.
Yeah, an interesting time. Restarts are everything in sevens, because talk about possession of that ball. But restarts, you sometimes see the hanging ones in the fierce contest for that ball, but a different decision there by Landry.
Yeah, and their coach there, John Tate, will be great at restarts. He's about 6'10", is a huge human being, towering over this team when he takes the half-team talks. But yeah, possession, vital. The easiest way of getting possession from restarts is to make it contestable, but here, Canada clearly are back in their set piece.
3 forwards, 4 backs in sevens. And so the abbreviated line-out taken by South Africa. And a little skipping run by Jordan. Just failed to qualify for the 7 series. South Africa beaten by China in the qualifying match in Hong Kong, run in conjunction with the Hong Kong Sevens. And pressure being put on South Africa here, and again, if you don't have the ball, you can put some good pressure on, and indeed Canada get the penalty, South Africa off their feet, and this may result in a second Canadian try, although Landry is brought back very sharply, trying to take the quick one.
His first reference, and we see Pienaar there, one of the better players out in Hong Kong. She's formidable when she's got ball in hand, but the Canadians not playing last week in Hong Kong. The South Africans have to get over their logistical troubles as well.
So Landry has a little think, stabs it through, and it should be, yes, I think it was a try for Ben. Did she get it down before the line? We're going to have a little look at it.
Sure. TMO, clear. Try yes or no, please.
Well, clear direction from the referee there, yes or no. I think it looked pretty good on first glance. Wonderful kick in behind. Landry said before just how good she is at sevens, and what a put down, Brittany Ben. Using that oval-shaped rugby ball to all its benefit there. Not quite over the line. Was wonderful play by both of them there.
Might have heard the voice coming in, and the decision made. Try. Second try for Canada after a very bright start in this one. Pretty much in front, well, I say in front of the post. It was a little bit further right than I thought. And even these are not a given in sevens. Landry, though, it's poked through, and a 7-point try.
It's such good vision, a lot of space in behind. We mentioned about 7 people have been on the pitch, which means often the space is in behind. There's one thing knowing that, there's another thing executing a perfectly weighted kick. And what a put down, what a great shot we see there.
That was a sort of a rugby league style try, that one, little kick through, and exactly the same restart. I thought we were seeing a replay there for a moment. That was almost identical.
Almost identical. Often load the front line, so with that 3 or 4 people will get lifted in the air to try and compete. And once again, as we saw with the try, the space is indeed in behind. So South Africa, they've got a lot of ability in their back line. They need to get Jordan the ball. She's got a little bit of blue hair. She was really impressive in Hong Kong, as was Pienaar, who probably will receive this line-out.
Simmers throws in. Andrea Simmers, but it's taken by Canada, and it's going to be a quick-fire try once again. This time it's for Kaljuvi, and Sarah Kaljuvi accepted the gift readily, and Canada running away with this. Although you can come back very quickly in sevens, but South Africa unable to get out of their own 22 at the moment.
And that shows why these tactics do work. So difficult to get that accuracy and throw. These are not hookers in the 15 games. It's about them having adaptability, often scrum halves who have to throw the ball in. So much more of a different skill set, and you can see there the lift not quite as high as it needed to be. Ball over the top, tactic well and truly rewarded from the Canadians. This is when it gets a little bit oppressive in how they play.
Good conversion as well. So Canada romping away with this at the moment. The 2 pools, we should tell you, Pool A, New Zealand, Canada, South Africa and Kenya. And then in Pool B, Australia, Fiji, England and Wales. It should be fairly even, the pools. Australia, the dominant side in women's sevens at the moment, is taken by Simmers for South Africa. But again, they just cannot get out of their own half. A nice step by Jordan. But Canada competing well. And it's their attack once again. Women over on the right-hand side. Landry takes it in. There was an opportunity out wide, but still that opportunity will come for Canada. Quick hands. The overlap of the carry and the try once again. Williams gets it down this time. And Charity Williams brings try number 4 for Canada. And South Africa are being blown away at the moment.
Yeah, and the Sivpool shifted to the ball to the far side. If ever you see 3 or 4 people around a breakdown, you know there's going to be some serious space out wide, and Williams there exploited every inch of that, taking it wide left. Not made the easiest kick, it's fair to say, but the game well and truly in Canadians' grasp now. It's some good play, bit of pressure on from the defence, getting the ball away, good execution of skills under pressure.
Well, South Africa in the men's game are the probably start as the favourites. Landry's conversion is wide, but not sure they're going to be challenging based on this evidence in the women's event. There's tall John Tate.
Too tall, he's too tall.
That was Richard Metcalf, who played for Scotland. His nickname was Toots, too tall, 7'2". That's excessive. So the restart by Landry again, and again giving it some distance, not much hang time on that. South Africa, as the hooter sounds, final play of the first half. Little running line of interference, but still there for South Africa off the foot. So still their chance to attack and try and find something. Penalty, so they'll play on.
Stay up.
Really big thing this year about staying on your feet. You have to compete over the ball, and as you see in 15s often, many people compete over the ball. Here in 7s, it's 1 or 2. You've got to be so effective getting up, getting over the ball, securing it, but ultimately staying balanced. That's the main thing.
Let's go. That knock on.
Oh dear. That's a rather sorry end to the first half. Matthias Simmers with the knock-on and the oath. And that is half-time and a dominant first half by Canada. And in 7s, we do get to go in and hear what the coaches are saying in the huddles. And I'm not sure what the South African coach will be making of that. But a very, very bright start by Canada. I mean, we look at the favourites, and you talk about New Zealand and Australia. Australia have kind of taken over from New Zealand this season as being the dominant team. But Canada, I think, may be figuring as well.
Yeah, tend to be the bridesmaids. Canada really disappointing when they went out in the semi-finals. Here, South African rugby always instill this in their teams. A little bit of mindfulness at half-time, which is wonderful to see. And there we mentioned John Tate, the giant man looking down. They are rebuilding. I mentioned that with the Canadians. They've got a lot of young players coming through.
Sometimes we can't quite hear the stadium noise there, but I think it was all pretty pretty happy chat from Tate.
Yeah, perhaps showing the gulf somewhat there, looking at the statistics on it. 4 tries already by the Canadians in the first half is formidable. There's a bit of a golden score. If you get to around about 21 points at half-time as the points difference, very difficult to come back in, specifically because of the need for conversions. But it's definitely still a bit of life in this team. I do feel a bit for the South Africans who mentioned about Hong Kong, as we're getting some wonderful shots of their huddle there. They have had to travel on the Monday to get into Australia. The emotions of not qualifying still most definitely playing a part of their performance so far.
And we'll see this across the men's and women's tournament, that the Hong Kong Sevens, which is historically one of the great Sevens tournament as part of the World Sevens Series, that a lot of countries sent younger or development squads there because they knew that it would be difficult to come down from Hong Kong. You'd only had a few days to acclimatise, similar time zone, but in terms of actually getting used to the conditions and settling into your environment, that it was easier for some just to send a different squad to Hong Kong. But others, as I say, South Africa were competing there for qualification for the World Sevens Series, so they had their best squad. And they seem to have left a few of their legs in Hong Kong. Canada starting the second half brightly again. Great power from Kaljuvi. And again, possession of that ball, all important. And a bit of space out wide, and it's going to be another run-in try. And Hannah Darling gets across. So it doesn't seem as if there's going to be any respite for South Africa. Canada, foot to the floor at the start of the second half.
And it started where they left off. Crossley this time going from try scorer to try maker, shifting across the pitch, running laterally, but that's not a problem in sevens. If you find space, you can exploit it. And Darling, just too much pace out wide. I mean, this Canadian team have rung the changes at half-time. They've brought on Darling. Josane Landry, their star player, is now on the bench, resting, recovering. It's been 3 months since this Canadian team have played, so it's a long time, and they want to make sure they hit the game fully on their straps, and they're looking pretty strong thus far.
It's a rather more aerobic game than 15s. The fitness, the conversion is wide, to say the least. 29-0 though to Canada off the try of Darling. She should be captain.
Too easy.
So the restart is not going to go 10. And a rare mistake by Canada. Megan Lucan on the field.
Again, it shows how important Landry is to this Canadian team. You often have one or perhaps two expert kickers in the game, and these drop goals, if you practice out in the garden, are not easy. They go high and they're accurate.
So the restart just fed back from Jordan to Mpupa and carried on by Grain.
No clear release.
Penalty to South Africa. Canada not releasing in the tackle. Opportunity then was a little slip there. Looked awkward.
Turnover's good.
And stripped and stolen by Canada. An opportunity for the Canadians to come again. I say Australia in the Sydney Sevens were dominant, didn't concede a single point in any match, and Canada will be as keen to keep that at 0 as they will to build in the 29. Take great pride in defence in Sevens. And trying to back the pace of Crossley, but couldn't quite win that race. Taken on by Mokwai.
High, over the shoulder.
High tackle is the instruction. Penalty to South Africa.
Over the shoulder.
Again, it's a big thing in Sevens because the referees have so much more visibility in these tackles and these breakdowns. They can be really hot on these remotely high tackles. I mean, many would argue that's not particularly high, but as soon as his arm comes over the shoulder, it's a big thing in Sevens. You're going to get penalised for it. You see it time and time again.
Here's the left arm coming in. Replacements being made. There are 5 replacements.
2 greens have just gone off.
12 in each squad, plus a travelling reserve, so 7 on the pitch. 5 replacements, and they're using some of those replacements now.
High tackle.
South Africa trying to find something. So Stadler with the little tap, and Stadler now gives it out, and the fumble by Mali.
Cross forward.
And gives Canada the scrum. Again, scrums are, well, you can put a bit of pressure on the scrums, even the 3-person scrums, but usually just a means of restarting the game pretty quickly.
And perhaps got away with a bit of a forward pass there anyway, so the moral obligation for the scrum to happen is not a bad thing. But the Canadians now dominant in the game. 3 minutes left. It's still absolutely excruciating, painful fitness. 3 minutes left is a long time in the game of Sevens. Whilst they've got no hope of winning this game, South Africa, is for the Canadians to really test out and fine-tune their attack.
So Canada going again. Lovely little loop around and space appearing out wide, but quickly closed down by Eloise Webb, who's fresh on the field for South Africa. There is Kaljuvi, who's been impressive for Canada. Oh, and then the great hands once again, now looking for support out wide. It's a little bit deeper when it appears from Crossley. Crossley able to set it back, and there is once more just a slightly loose pass this time, but scooped up by Brian Nicholas, who's one of the replacements to come on for Canada. And Lucan.
Back.
This time it's Watcham Roy who gets Canada going, and Kaljuvi again really is the powerful presence at the heart of this Canadian side. Say speed is mostly important in Sevens, but you do need a good bit of strength as well. A speculative pass, did it come off a shin? No, a hand was involved at some point, and a scrum to South Africa.
And Farella showing just how difficult it is in these later stages of the game to execute these fine skills, but how about this run? Kaljuvi's absorbing hits from all over the shop. She's a real tank flying through these South African shots like they're not there, and still managing to go forward. It just brings players into the area, which means you create space out wide. Sadly, the Canadians not able to exploit that, but now you can see the power of a midfield scrum, splitting your attack and seeing which way you want to go.
Crouch.
Just over a minute remaining. No doubt Canada are going to win this, and win this comfortably. Can South Africa find anything? Well,
straight at the tunnel. straight at the tunnel. She's entitled to it. Pull. Yep, this side. Same mark, same ball.
It's almost refreshing to see some three-man scrums there. Paul Dayport looking on the ex-South African player, somewhat sheepishly there. But he's come off for Hong Kong, learning a lot about the players and really trying to grow their game.
Almost the same reaction there, and the scrum just popped out, and South Africa making a bit of a mess of things, and that's the hot potato on the floor, but it's taken up by Moleshi.
Tackle! Release! Release!
And Moleshi eventually gets to ground. And through the middle now, Lucan makes a bit of ground. And South Africa desperately scrambling that defence. Canada looking to finish in a high into the final seconds of this game. Looking for something out wide, and Kaljuvi just trying to swat aside the South African defence again. Still makes ground. 5 meters made into the 22. Moleshi gets Canada going once again. The hooter sounds. And that was not immediately laid back. The ball is loose. Can South Africa go end to end? Pinging about, that will be an end to things.
Then 2.
So the scoring slowed down in the second half, but still comprehensive and impressive from Canada in this very first game in women's sevens at the Commonwealth Games. And Canada winners by 29 points to 0. They will leap immediately to the top of Pool A. The other sides in Pool A, New Zealand and Kenya. And indeed, they are the next 2 sides that will take to the field. And they do, Rob, get the sides out pretty quickly, the games out pretty quickly in sevens. There's not too much time waiting between games.
No, it's a real benefit of when you come to watch sevens, and when you're involved in watching the game, it's relentless action. One off, next team back on. It really does typify just how full on